Hello guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about, this is just my opinion, so you guys can completely disagree with me. Um, if you disagree with me, you can comment it down below. Tell me which stat you think is the most underappreciated or underused stat in whatever sport. But this is just my personal experience when comparing stats about different players or underrated positions and their stats that are pretty underrated. So, just my opinion. We'll start off with basketball. It's actually two: assists and usage percentage. Assists is the most underrated stat because people always focus on, points, rebounds, blocks, steals, but assists is almost always overlooked. When even though, especially for the point guard position, when the point guard position was created, because it starts the plays, it passes the ball, it moves the ball to create shots for its teammates. Sometimes the point guard's gonna, like John Stockton, for example. He was able to average double digit assists for most of his career while almost averaging 20 points per game at the same time. You can still score and pass the ball at a very good rate. So I feel like most point guards are like, do I want to score or do I want to pass? They don't realize they can do both. And usage percentage, because people just don't pay attention to that as much. Usage percentage is per play the amount of usage a player is getting, at least from my understanding of it. So like people say Miles Turner statistically is having some of the worst stats of his career. When if you actually look at the usage percentage, his usage percentage has gone down every year because they've been using him less and less and less because they've gotten more and more talent, and the depth chart is just crowded with a bunch of good players, and the ball's getting moved around a lot. So just, yeah, people don't pay attention to that stat enough because it really shows how much a player is being used. So, now in football, pancakes. I know you're going to say pancakes is not a stat tracked by really a lot of credible sources, and that's the exact reason why it's underrated and underused. Because I feel like pancakes should be tracked for offensive linemen, especially for guys like Quentin Nelson who are out there freaking pancaking every other play. But we don't track that for some reason, and I don't know why we don't track it. It's a good stat. Offensive linemen don't have stats other than the games they've started and played. They should have that as a stat. Someone should track that as a stat. We should get a specific rule on it. Just track it as a stat. It's dumb why they don't track it. Baseball, on base percentage. Now, if you guys have ever seen the movie Moneyball, you know that, I'm an analytics guy. I like the stats. I get there are certain intangibles that certain players have, like leadership and the mental toughness it takes to play. But also, you got to look at the statistics and use that as a majority ruling for if a player is good or not. So I feel like on base percentage is pretty underrated because mainly people focus on home runs, RBIs, at bats, batting percentage, stuff like that. They should really be focusing on base percentage because you need to get people on base in order to score. You don't need a bunch of guys that hit home runs. You just need a bunch of guys who can get runs. So guys who can steal and get on base. Base it off of speed and then have a couple of power hitters here and there. But you don't need your whole team to be power hitters. Like, again, in Moneyball, uh, assistant GM Peter Brand of the Oakland A's, he said teams should be focused on not buying wins, but buying runs, I believe is what he said. And by getting on base, you get runs. It's pretty simple. Did the light just get way darker. Is it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to replace the batteries. That sucks. It'll be replaced. Are you just being this special? Is there a reason for you? Yes, I'm using tape to hold it up. Much special. Almost too much. There. Stay. Okay. And now on to hockey. Shot percentage. Shot percentage, I feel, is because, so in a hockey game, let's compare this to basketball. For like field goal percentage in a basketball game compared to shot percentage in a hockey game. A hockey player is going to shoot a lot more shots and make a lot less. Whereas a basketball player is going to shoot probably about the same amount of shots, but is going to make way more of those shots than a hockey player would. So a lot of times shot percentages in like the 10s and 20s and 30s percentage, and those are considered pretty good. Like if you go to Alex Ovechkin's stats, his shot percentage is like 14. On his career, I think it's like 14 or 13%. And if you go to a guy like Scottie Pippen, his shot percentage is going to be way higher because they shot, as a basketball player, he shot the same amount of shots, but basketball is a way more high-scoring game, whereas hockey is a way lower-scoring game. So I feel like shot percentage is kind of undervalued because it's just not that big of a number, and people don't really use it to see how efficient a hockey player is. They just look at goals, assists, and points. They just look at points contributed to, assists, goal, all that. So, at least in my experience, I haven't had that many hockey fights over people over who's good, because a lot of my hockey opinions people actually agree with, which is weird, because I'm a Red Wings fan. The Red Wings have ticked off a decent amount of teams. So, but yeah, so that's just my opinion. I think hockey was the one that I was probably the most wrong on. Because like I said, I haven't really had to get into a deep argument on whether a player... I haven't had to get on that many deep arguments on whether a player is better than another one in hockey. Because again, a lot of people in hockey actually agree with my opinion. Again, weird. Because in every other sport, people don't agree with my opinion. A lot. So, it's just kind of weird. But yeah. So those are the most underrated and underused stats in all the 4 sports that actually matter. Sorry if you like any of the other sports. So, yeah, those are the ones that matter to me. So yeah. See you guys in the next video. Yeah, I don't think I have any other announcements. Subscribe, like, do whatever you want. I couldn't care. Just reminding you. Because I know sometimes I forget to like a video that I liked. So I'm just reminding you guys, trying to be helpful here. See you guys in the next video.